Is purging Liz Cheney the end of the Republican Party? Julio Rivera is on the line with us, the editorial director at Reactionary Times, contributor to Newsmax, American Thinker, and townhall.com. ReactionaryTimes.com is the website. Oh yeah, it's Julio is his Twitter handle. And Julio, is the Cheney Purge, is this complete embrace of this big lie that Donald Trump won the election and it was stolen from him by Republicans in Georgia and Republicans in Arizona, is that going to kill the Republican Party?
Well, let me tell you something. First off, Liz Cheney isn't a Republican that I think the majority, the base of the party, the spirit, the soul of the party, Republicans like myself, do not align ourselves with, the corporatist, establishment Republican globalist types that basically are the pawns of the major corporations. Listen, Tom.
But Julio, for 4 years, she voted 91% of the time with Trump.
Yeah, but it's easy to do that when you have a Republican president. That doesn't mean anything. It's how you vote when you have a Democratic president that actually shows where you stand and where your alliances are, believe it or not. Now, let me tell you something.
Oh, that makes sense.
Tom, the point I was trying to make is we're kind of similar in some ways, although we are ideologically, completely different. We both dislike uniparty politicians or establishment politicians, of which Liz Cheney is one of them. The one point I will make about the election, though, is that in 4 swing states, 4 very important swing states that would have decided the election either way, the elections in those 4 states were decided by a total of less than 45,000 total votes. So I think the point that people were making about the weak-kneed Republican legislatures in certain states is that, when they were setting up for changing rules for this upcoming election, back last summer when it was upcoming in November, we knew that there were going to be equal protection issues. We knew that there were going to be unconstitutional issues where we had judiciaries changing deadlines for votes to come in and doing things that were unconstitutional. The problem was that those Republicans did not take action at the time. After the fact, it's nearly impossible to prescribe a remedy to fix that. And that's the reason why Joe Biden is president today. But
let me get this straight.
Truly won the presidency?
Julio.
President Trump, I think, won. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you think Trump won the election?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I think under normal circumstances, under equal protection, if we had done everything constitutionally correct, President Trump would have won.
You mean at least won the Electoral College, because Biden won the popular vote by 7 million votes. But
do you really believe that?
Just trying to understand your argument here. Just trying to understand your argument. What you're saying is that because a couple of states allowed mail-in voting in ways that they hadn't previously, which is not even mentioned in the Constitution.
It's more than that, Tom. I think you're simplifying it.
And because a couple of states, there was an expansion of voting rights in several states. In many Republican states, in fact. They just weren't the consequential ones that you and I are talking about right now. But I think the ones you and I are talking about right now are principally Pennsylvania and Arizona, where those were,
and Wisconsin and Georgia. And Wisconsin and Georgia were big.
Okay.
And Arizona.
So you're saying that because of that, more Democrats voted. How do you know that more Republicans didn't vote?
The issue that I have
Republicans historically have been the vote by mail people. They're the older people.
That's not necessarily true, no, because most older voters become more dependent on the government, and there's a lot of Democrats. It's almost like a life cycle. When you're young and you're ideological and you're like, I want to save the world, and the government has to help us and save us.
But
you get a lot of young liberals.
Republicans have been promoting.
Older, a lot of people become liberals because they're dependent on the government. And they're dependent on government handouts as they become older.
Well, yes, there are Social Security voters and Medicare voters. I'll give you that.
Yes, of course.
But the reason why the Republican Party, particularly in Florida, for years has been promoting vote by mail is because the majority of people over 65, regardless of what you say about their affection for Social Security and Medicare, actually vote Republican. And I mean, that's it's slowly changing as the anti-war generation boomers kind of age in.
Income,
but even those of us who are anti-war boomers were a minority, of the boomer generation throughout that time. So aren't you worried that embracing this big lie that Donald Trump won the election when in fact he obviously did not? And it's been certified by Republicans that he did not. Aren't you concerned that embracing that big lie and purging people like Liz Cheney out of the party as a result are going to just alienate the moderate Republicans? I mean, you've got Republicans right now who are just, hysterical about how this is cutting into the party. You've got it within the party. You had a recent Republican caucus meeting where the speaker, where McCarthy had polling information showing that Trump is actually going to be a drag on Republicans, and he failed to produce that information.
Listen, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, the weak-kneed Republicans have been getting creamed in elections for generations, and they'll give you recent history. That's the reason why John McCain got crushed by Obama. And after Obama had a historically bad first term, Mitt Romney lost because he's another wishy-washy moderate Republican. The reason the Tea Party surged, the reason we took the Senate in 2014, the reason President Trump won is because we need bold, strong, America first conservatives that are deregulators, cutting taxes, and doing all the things to boom the American economy. Listen, in 2022, I'm going to give you a prediction.
It didn't work that way, Julio. Cutting taxes for billionaires did not boom the economy. And you're and allowing more poison in our water, allowing more poison in our air did not create more voters.
Oh, Lord.
The scam that you guys are running, that somehow, doing away with the protections for the American people so that corporations can dump more poison in our waters and Koch industries can dump more poison in our air is somehow some wonderful thing. Well, you just said deregulation. We want more Republican deregulation. We want more tax cuts.
With their dumping
Joe Biden just passed the largest tax cut for people making under $75,000 in the history of the United States. In fact, most people making less than $75,000 this year will pay nothing in federal taxes because of the Biden tax cuts.
His dirty plan to go ahead and change the tax code using reconciliation this fall is going to cause, mark my words, write it down that I said it today, that the biggest sell-off in stocks in American history, because everybody with passive income is going to say, I don't want to be taxed as regular income, like employment income, and they're going to lose their capital gains and they're going to lose their qualified dividend tax rate, and they're going to be the biggest sell-off in American history this fall. Mark my words.
Oh, and that might hurt a few billionaires. We'll see.
No, it's going to hurt regular people.
Julio Rivera, Reactionary Times.
Happen to be lucky enough
Julio
to have
on
passive
Twitter.
income.